Have you ever wondered why the word tolerance, something that used to mean peace, patience, and understanding, now feels like a trap? Have we become so obsessed with being tolerant that we've lost our grip on reality? Because I'll tell you right now, what's being sold to us as tolerance isn't kindness anymore. It's control. And it's being used to silence people who dare to tell the truth. Hey guys, I'm Lana. Welcome back to She's Right. Today's topic is one that hits hard and cuts deep: how tolerance culture has replaced truth in America. Stick around because we're going to talk about how this shift is reshaping everything from free speech to morality, and why it's time we stop confusing being nice with being honest. Before we dive in, hit like if you think truth should come before feelings, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's rewind a little. Tolerance used to mean something healthy. It meant coexisting with people you disagreed with. It meant allowing conversation, disagreement, and mutual respect. But that's not what it means anymore, is it? Now, tolerance means silence. It means don't speak your mind unless you're saying what's approved. It means accept everything or be labeled hateful. And why is it the very people preaching tolerance are the quickest to shut you down when you speak a truth they don't like? See, real tolerance requires strength. It requires humility. But fake tolerance, the kind dominating our culture right now, requires obedience. It's not about kindness anymore. It's about control, 100%. So when people say you're being intolerant, what they really mean is you're not complying. Here's the scary truth. Tolerance culture has evolved into a new religion, and its commandments are written by mob consensus. You're told to be kind, but only if your kindness aligns with the narrative. You're told to love everyone, but not if that love includes speaking uncomfortable truths. You're told to be inclusive, but you're excluded the second you question the ideology. That is not tolerance. That's manipulation. And if you've ever lost friends, a job, or even followers online because you said something true that wasn't trendy, you felt the sting of this cultural conditioning firsthand. What happens when the demand for tolerance becomes more oppressive than the intolerance it claims to fight? This is where freedom of speech starts dying out. Not by law, but by fear. You've probably heard it. If you really cared, you'd support this. If you were a good person, you wouldn't question that. That's emotional blackmail being dressed up as morality. They weaponize compassion, turning empathy into a bludgeon to make you conform. And if you resist, you're branded as a hateful bigot, ignorant, or backward. But here's the twist. They don't actually care about empathy. They care about compliance. Because tolerance culture isn't about protecting feelings. It's about policing thought. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever been pressured to just go along with something that you didn't agree with just to avoid any backlash or confrontation? I want to hear your stories. Because when people start pretending they believe things they don't, society becomes a stage play. Everyone performing, no one being real. When the truth leaves a room, something always takes its place. And that something is power. Look at what happens when truth becomes subjective. Suddenly, everything is up for negotiation. Everything is up for debate. Reality gets blurred. Morality gets rewritten. And whoever has the most influence decides what's true. When feelings become fact, who decides which feelings win? That's how we got here. A world where saying, I disagree is more dangerous than saying nothing at all. When truth stops being the standard, culture becomes a competition of narratives. The louder one wins, not the truer one, the louder one. And that's how tolerance turned from a virtue into a censorship tool. Think about it. In schools, kids are told to respect all opinions, but only if those opinions align with the curriculum. At work, diversity training teaches inclusion, but excludes traditional beliefs. Online, safe spaces are supposed to protect people, but they actually protect ideologies from scrutiny. Tolerance has become the mask intolerance wears in public. If diversity only applies to skin color and not thought, is it really diversity, or is it a costume for control? And you've probably felt it. When you hesitate before posting, before speaking up, before even thinking out loud. That's not you being polite. That's conditioning. Let's be honest. Most people don't actually believe everything they pretend to. They nod along, repost the slogans, and say what they're supposed to, not because they're convinced, but because they're scared. And that's what makes tolerance culture so effective. It doesn't need to convince you. It just needs to silence you. Isn't it ironic that in the name of tolerance, people are afraid to speak? The fear is destroying authenticity. It's creating a generation of performers, not thinkers, followers, not leaders. If you're tired of walking on eggshells, hit that like button right now. Let's make truth over fear trend again. Here's the philosophical part of this whole mess. When you replace truth with tolerance, you remove the standard by which anything can be judged. You can't call something right or wrong, good or evil, because everything is valid. But when everything is valid, nothing is valuable. If every belief is equally true, does that mean truth itself doesn't exist? That's where we're living, inside a moral fog where clarity is seen as aggression, and clarity is exactly what we've lost. Real tolerance requires a foundation in truth. Otherwise, it's chaos. And chaos isn't peaceful, it's exhausting. Now let's get real about who benefits from all of this, because someone always does. Institutions thrive on compliance. Media thrives on outrage. Tech platforms thrive on emotional engagement, not reason. So tolerance culture isn't just a moral movement, it's a power mechanism. What if the people telling you to just be tolerant are really telling you to just stop asking questions? This tolerance narrative keeps people passive, keeps them distracted and divided. It's perfect for control. And if you dare to resist, they don't argue, they label. You're a bigot. You're hateful. You're closed-minded. Those words aren't arguments, they're shields. Because if they can make you afraid to speak, they don't have to prove you wrong. Let's talk about what's being lost. We're losing honesty. We're losing trust. We're losing the ability to disagree without destroying each other. And the next generation is paying the price. Kids are growing up thinking that disagreement is violence, that silence equals virtue, and that truth is optional. That is terrifying. What kind of future are we building if our children can't tell the difference between truth and trend? They deserve better than emotional safety at the expense of intellectual strength. They deserve the courage to question, to think critically, to tell the truth, even when it's unpopular. Parents, teachers, students, if you agree, drop that in the comments. I don't know what that is. Heck yeah. Drop that in the comments. Let's start reclaiming truth in our homes, our schools, and our culture. So, how do we fix this? It starts with courage. It starts with speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable. Because tolerance without truth is not kindness, it's cowardice. Would you rather be liked for a lie or respected for the truth? We have to start valuing truth again, even when it hurts. Because truth doesn't always comfort, but it always heals. If we stop telling the truth just to stay tolerant, we'd lose the very foundation that makes tolerance possible. You can't truly respect someone if you have to lie to them. So say it, post it, defend it, because silence isn't peace, it's permission. Tolerance culture wants peace without honesty, unity without accountability, acceptance without truth. But peace without honesty is fake. Unity without accountability is tyranny. And acceptance without truth, that's manipulation. Maybe the most intolerant thing we can do is stay silent while the truth dies. So let's flip the script. Let's be the generation that says no to fake tolerance and yes to fearless truth. Comment, I choose truth below if you're ready to stand up for it. And if you're not, why? What's holding you back? Is it fear? Tolerance culture might make people feel comfortable, but it's making society delusional. And if we don't start choosing truth over feelings, this culture will keep erasing the very freedom it claims to protect. Because truth doesn't need to be tolerated. It needs to be told. I'll see you next time. Bye.